It's time to get another perspective on the ravaging coronavirus, and this time we're looking at its impact on the economy. We're being joined on the news at 10 by Professor Koinsola Ajayi, a senior advocate of Nigeria and managing partner at the law firm Olaniwun Ajayi. He's also authored several writings on banking law, project finance and international capital markets. Mr. Ajayi, thank you for joining us on the program. On the news at 10. So several governments have announced different interventions for their economies, and we're seeing them every day. The UK announced a few days ago, so has the US government this week. Do you think that Nigeria can quantify impacts of the outbreak on the global economy?
Well, I think we can, but we certainly are not. And I think the most difficult thing for us as Nigerians to quantify now is the total absence of the president in our lives in the face of this great and worrying pandemic. It is absolutely amazing that we've not had a word from the president compared to his counterparts in different parts of the world. I mean, you just played a newsreel from the British Prime Minister. We see Donald Trump speaking virtually every day. And so for many other countries. So that for me is very sad. But then, having said so, we see that various actors of state are beginning to act, but I think in the first place, they've acted very late and they are not acting decisively. We need to take steps that would ensure that as a nation, we arrest the spread of this plague. And that's just breaking the human chain. And so, take for example, we also saw from the news clip earlier this evening, the governor of Ekiti State directing that all government workers, apart from essential workers, should work from home. We should begin to look at this. And I would expect there to be a meeting of all the governors and the president, so there's a coordinated approach to dealing with this thing. We see that it's beginning to affect our economy in a significant way. Exchange rates have certainly moved. It seems that the trading window allowed by CBN in the markets has moved to 380 naira to the dollar. That's a slide of over 12% in a few hours. We don't know what will happen on Monday. We know stock prices continue to tumble. We know oil prices have sagged, and we don't know the result yet of the effect of all this. And I think we begin to see this come April. So hopefully government will begin to act responsibly very quickly.
The CBN intervention is enough? You think that would help alleviate the impact of the coronavirus outbreak on the economy? You're talking about government acting responsibly. Is the CBN acting responsibly in this instance?
Really, it's not really for the CBN. I mean, CBN is a monetary authority, and all CBN can do is to use monetary policy as best as it can. But that's not the answer. I would expect the federal government, for instance, to turn to China and say, listen, all the hospitals that you built miraculously within 10 days, ship them to Nigeria. Please ship us those doctors that are no longer engaged. Ship them to Nigeria. Ship those testing centers that can test people within 10 minutes. Ship them to Nigeria. So rather than focus on things like reducing oil prices, petrol price, which I think really does nothing to the problem we have, we should look at how we deal with what may be killing fields. Listening to Atedo Peterside a few days ago and some other doctors that speak for data mapping, it seems to me clear that we have a much greater crisis in our hands, something that is very latent, And as we see happening with Italy, don't be surprised if numbers just begin to multiply in a manner that will be alarming. We continue to pray, but then God requires us to be responsible. God requires us to use our spirit of discernment. He requires us to use the wisdom he's given us. So we must go beyond prayer. And I think the government needs to look at things like how many people can ride in a bus, how many people can be in a market. I think we have to go beyond just saying close schools, which is what government has done. Some state governments like Lagos State, which has been very proactive, has asked public spaces to close, which is a good thing. But then how about transport? How would we eat? What is government thinking about Nigerians that rely on daily trade? So how will they survive? What is government thinking about those companies that will be unable to pay salaries, and therefore those employees that would have absolutely nothing in a few days, because it's end of month in a few days' time? And I think government needs to begin to look at these things rather seriously. And we need to look at how we save lives, how we save our economy, and shift focus from what seems to be gaining attention of government, which is fight within APC.
Right, and I think that the Lagos State government has already taken off some of the suggestions that you've made tonight. Our government's still looking at many intervention policies concerning curbing the outbreak of the coronavirus. Professor Koinsola Ajayi, thank you again for speaking with us on the News at 10.